If you have already watched this introductory information, you can skip ahead no more than 10 minutes. Hello, welcome. It is predicted that President Trump will die from a heart attack on December 18th, 2024. It is also predicted that Trump's heart attack will be triggered by a directed energy weapon that will target Trump through Bluetooth technology. The components inside the pointy thing that Trump took will facilitate this, and it is believed that when Trump visited Biden at the White House, Trump's Bluetooth MAC address was obtained, which will be used to target Trump with a directed energy weapon. J.D. Vance will also die on December 18th or soon after, and Congress will vote to make Kamala Harris a temporary president. I am predicting that Vice President Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash in St. Louis due to a bird strike into Busch Stadium. In the area code 314, it will be a burning bush, as described in Exodus 3:14. On December 24th, 2024, she will be replaced by Michelle Obama, and then Barack Obama will replace Michelle. It is predicted that on December 25th, Joe Biden will suffer a stroke. After Kamala Harris's predicted plane crash on December 24th and Joe Biden's predicted stroke on December 25th, it is predicted that on December 26th, Joe Biden will appoint Michelle Obama as the vice president, and then Biden will step down. Michelle Obama will appoint Barack Obama as the 51st vice president. On January 12th, 2025, Michelle Obama will step down, and Barack Obama will become the 48th president. His public inauguration ceremony will be on January 20th, 2025. I am predicting that former President Jimmy Carter will die on January 28th. It is predicted that on April 20th, 2025, there will be an outbreak of monkeypox or Marburg disease or both. April 20th will be a symbolic beginning to a new pandemic. Alternatively, it could also be that the symbolic beginning to the new pandemic will be on April 1st, 2025, and that on April 20th, 2025, martial law will be declared because of the new outbreak. It is predicted that on June 9th, the day after the rapture, the key will open the bottomless pit and fallen angels will cross over into the earthly realm. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to the fifth trumpet judgment that is described in Revelation chapter 9, when the demonic realm collides with the earthly realm. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to demons pretending to be aliens. The demons pretending to be aliens will claim to be here to help us with our nuclear weapons after Damascus, Syria is destroyed with a nuclear weapon the day before June 9th. And it is possible that June 9th will be the day Pope Francis will announce that aliens have arrived and have made him the ambassador for the world. This will immediately give Pope Francis, the Antichrist, supreme power over governments of the world. At some point, there will be a massive Mary apparition that will deceive the masses, because all Mary apparitions in history have been demons pretending to be Mary. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to a zombie pandemic and the masses becoming demonically possessed that will be facilitated through the thing, which is the mark of the Antichrist and 5G frequencies. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to the coming genocide politicide in America. I am predicting that singer-songwriter Paul Simon will die on August 1st, 2025. It is predicted that on August 6th, 2025, the historic barge that has been stuck on the rocks of the Niagara River for over 100 years will finally break free and crash over Niagara Falls. The reason for this is that Niagara Falls is Noah's flood symbolism, and the barge was involved in the most dramatic rescue in the history of Niagara Falls, symbolic of Noah's Ark. Niagara in the native language means straight, narrow way, and Niagara's Horseshoe Falls is perfectly aimed at the CN Tower in downtown Toronto, because Toronto and its tower are symbolic of the Tower of Babel. In a game of horseshoes, the object is to aim the horseshoe and throw it at the metal stick, which is why the Horseshoe Falls is perfectly aimed at the metal stick that is the CN Tower. God is communicating that as testament for those who will live in the 1,000 years of Christ's reign on earth, the geography of North America will, as a result of a massive earthquake, be divided by a body of water from the Great Lakes to the Mississippi Delta. This destruction will be judgment on America and Canada for attempting to divide God's land, Israel. When this happens, the water in the Great Lakes will spill out over southern Ontario and Toronto. I am predicting that a solar flare will erupt on the surface of the sun and send a coronal mass ejection that will hit Earth on August 13th, 2025, which will knock out America's power grid and will lead to food shortages. The hit of the coronal mass ejection, predicted for August 13th, that will knock out the power grid will also knock many planes out of the sky. I am predicting that on August 23rd, 2025, there will be a catastrophic asteroid hit of Earth, which will trigger the eruption of Yellowstone volcano and will cause the volcano in the Canary Islands to collapse into the Atlantic Ocean and send a mega tsunami towards the east coast. The asteroid will also trigger a mega landslide on Hawaii Island that will trigger a mega tsunami that will hit the west coast. It will also trigger the collapse of the Hoover Dam, which will cause a water panic in California, and many other devastating earthquakes. The day of the Lord, the second coming of Lord Jesus Christ, Judgment Day, will be at the end of 2026. The date that this video is posted proves that these predictions are being made ahead of time, as do these time-stamped emails and forensic notes PDF documents. If you are skeptical for some reason, please email me and I will forward these to you. Believe me, I know far better than you how the prediction made in this video was derived. And more importantly, I know far better than you why the righteous Christian God of the Bible has given me a voice through this prediction. If you are a quote-unquote Christian or Muslim, this prediction was not learned through a demon. Be warned that blaspheming the Holy Spirit is the unforgivable sin. If you are a New Ager or New Spirituality person, this prediction was not learned through somehow tapping into the supposed universal collective consciousness. If you are a conspiracy theorist, this prediction was not learned through figuring out a supposed code that the Illuminati and Satanists are using. This prediction was learned through the Bible and through watching carefully the Lord's prophetic signs, which Jesus commanded all Christians to do. Besides proving that Jesus Christ is the Lord, the reason why God has given me a voice through this prediction is to prove that the controversial things that I am saying in the videos on this channel are the truth. Therefore, a wise person will want to watch all of the videos on this channel. What I will also do is create a video or two that summarizes some of the controversial things that the Lord will prove to be true when the prediction being made in this video comes to pass. I will leave links to these must-watch videos in the description box below this video. Again, the purpose of this prediction, that is from God, is to prove these things that I will talk about. And therefore, it would be foolish to not watch the videos that I will leave links for in the description box below this video. Make a note right now of these alternative platforms that you can find me on in case you can't find me later. This video will talk about the truly amazing connections between God's prophetic signs that God was demonstrating ahead of time to point to November 27th. This video was produced prior to November 27th. God was pointing to November 27th ahead of time in regards to the predicted death of Kamala Harris in a plane crash, and it ended up being another step in the trail of signs. And this is how it works. God's true big picture of signs, patterns, and connections, which is only being explained on this channel, is an interconnected web, and the full intended meaning of any of the prophetic signs cannot be properly understood without their context and connections to the other prophetic signs. This engenders these steps in the trail of signs leading to the particular event, in this case, the death of Kamala Harris in a plane crash. And it is through these trails of signs and interconnected signs that God is able to tell very amazing, important stories through which he is able to communicate essential, extremely important information and knowledge. That's why all of these videos that are predicting November 27th must be watched. This is also the case for the 70 videos that I made that led Trails of Signs to February 10th, 2024. They absolutely must be watched. I could not continue to update these videos with the Trail of Signs as it progressed further. There was just too many of them. So there are 70 videos filled with these essential stories that everyone needs to know. God has been communicating the death of Kamala Harris in a plane crash since 2020. And there is so much other information that you need to know, and it is contained in these 70 other videos. If you do not watch these other videos, you will have missed entirely the point of this prediction that is from God. It isn't simply to say, neat, amazing, wow, God, you predicted this. If God wanted to, he could simply tap someone on the shoulder and say, hey, tell the world that such and such is going to happen on such and such date. But what would that be good for? Like I am saying, it is through these interconnected signs that God is telling these stories and conveying this information and knowledge that needs to be known. In other words, make sure that you also watch the videos that are predicting the death of Kamala Harris in a plane crash on February 10th. The analysis is 100% correct. If you have already watched this 8-minute clip explaining the prophetic signs that occurred on November 27th, please be patient. It is necessary that I explain what happened on November 27th and how it revealed adding an additional 9 plus 9 plus 9 days to get to the date it is predicted that Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash on December 24th. And if you have already watched this explanation for November 27th, you can skip ahead 8 minutes. After this 8-minute clip, I will get into the truly astounding information and subject of this particular video. This diagram that you are looking at here is truly profound, and there is a lot to explain. And God, through all of this, told very important and amazing stories that everyone needs to know. And this diagram and the full explanation for what happened and why it is relevant, what happened, the prophetic signs that occurred on November 27th, are explained in the 9/11 Mayor video. The video that is titled Trump Will Die, Prediction Trump Will Die on December 12th, Harris Will Crash on December 24th, equals the 9/11 Mayor, a man that God is using in his prophetic signs for very important symbolism, which points to the big warning of judgment on 9/11. Most importantly, that is the underlying symbolism, but there is so much that God has told through the 9/11 Mayor, which will be explained in the 9/11 Mayor video. But for the sake of continuity in this video, to explain the trail of signs, as I have just now explained, we have established a trail of signs that led to November 27th. November 27th is 9 plus 9 plus 9 days before December 24th, the date it is predicted that Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash. God pairs 9 and 11 together to confirm the signs and connections, and that is because it points to 9/11. And that's why we have this connection involving 9 and 11 and the 9/11 mayor. On this day, the 9/11 mayor stood outside of the courthouse that he is being persecuted in by his political enemies in New York City, in the 11th state. New York City, incidentally, is also made up of 11 letters. On 9/11, it was Flight 11 with a crew of 11 people that flew into the Twin Towers that looked like a giant 11 in New York State, the 11th state to join the Union, because Jesus coined the phrase the 11th hour, which in ancient Israel referred to the last hour of daylight before darkness, and in English is an idiom that means last chance. Time is running out. And so the prophetic sign that we expected in advance was Rudy Giuliani, the 9/11 mayor, announcing to the world in front of the press, in front of the courthouse, where he is being persecuted, that he no longer has a bank account. And this date, a primary reason why or how this date was known ahead of time was because of the connection to the Emergencies Act with the trucker freedom protest in Ottawa, which was about the restriction or restricting of the political dissidents' bank accounts. It was exactly 145 weeks in between these two signs involving bank accounts, because 145 is the 49th semi-prime number, and we are talking about the death of Kamala Harris, the 49th vice president. There's lots to say. The trucker protest was a convoy of trucks across the continent parallel to the border wall of security with America, the 49th parallel. 49 is 7 times 7. The trucker protest began exactly 7 times 7 years after 7 justices voted to legalize abortions in the Supreme Court, and Harris is most known for advocacy for abortions. This controversial law was made in a courthouse. The Emergencies Act is a controversial law. The 9/11 mayor was Trump's lawyer who spoke the truth regarding the controversial shoplifted referendum, and this prophetic sign involving the law taking away his bank account occurred in front of a courthouse. To wrap things up here, this was Thanksgiving. This date was known ahead of time because it was the day before Thanksgiving. Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash the day before Christmas on her flight back from Washington, D.C. to Los Angeles. Again, God repeats a number 3 times for emphasis of its symbolic meaning, which is the reason for 9 plus 9 plus 9 days connected to this sign in New York. And it is relevant that it is in New York, because also it connects to the day that the New York State Bar removed Giuliani's law license in New York State. And also this date is exactly 211 weeks after this other 9/11 mayor sign, and on, and 211 hints at 2 times 110 stories of the Twin Towers that collapsed on 9/11. 211 is the 15th super prime number. Rudy Giuliani was sued for $150 million, which is why he doesn't have a bank account. And this date is predicted to be 15 days before it is predicted that Trump, who is from New York and Manhattan, also will die. This connection of 211 weeks, which I can't explain much more, this end of the diagram in this video, it's explained in the Giuliani 9/11 mayor video, but this connection is also 404% of a calendar year. This 9/11 mayor sign was on the exact 400-year anniversary of the Pilgrims anchoring off Cape Cod and signing the Mayflower Compact, the predecessor to the Constitution. The sign on this date, this 9/11 Mayor sign on the date 11/11, the Mayflower Compact was signed on the date 11/11, exactly 400 years earlier. This sign on this date was Giuliani's podcast, in which he, for the first time, laid out a comprehensive case of all of the evidence that the referendum had been shoplifted, which meant the end of democracy. This symbolized the beginning of democracy, and the end of democracy was symbolized with the 9/11 mayor and his case regarding the evidence on this day. And of course, the reason why Giuliani doesn't have a bank account and was sued this amount of money was for speaking the truth regarding the shoplifted referendum. And also, this 9/11 mayor sign on this date was 404 years after the Pilgrims arrived, and the Pilgrims symbolized Thanksgiving, and again, this was the Thanksgiving sign that we expected in advance. 404 years and 404% of a calendar year hint at the 44th president, the Antichrist, who is symbolized by the king of Egypt in the Bible, and the Israelites escaped the persecution from the king of Egypt after 400 years in Egypt and then were led to the promised land. The Pilgrims saw their crossing of the Atlantic and their escape from the king of England and religious persecution, like the Israelites, as being analogous to the Israelites' departure from Egypt and crossing over the Jordan River into their promised land, their crossing of the Atlantic into the New World. The 44th president will become the Antichrist king after the death of Trump and Harris in a plane crash. And once he becomes the president and the Antichrist, he will restrict people's ability to buy and sell food based on their having taken or whether or not they have taken the mark of the Antichrist. In other words, bank accounts will be controlled, and this is why it is relevant that this coming death of Kamala Harris in a plane crash connects through these signs involving 9/11, which was about plane crashes, through the 9/11 mayor, and through the restriction of bank accounts of the left's political enemies, true conservatives and Christians. All right, welcome. It is being predicted that Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash on November 27th, 2024. This video will be about a recent prophetic sign, but having said that, God has been communicating this for many years, that Kamala Harris would die in a plane crash. Okay, since before, in fact, the referendum in 2020. So this is a typo, this title, sorry. The earthquake was in Greece, and it's relevant as to where the earthquake was located. All right, as we can see, this email was composed on November 19th. So it is before November 27th, the date of her predicted plane crash. Also, the date that this video is posted proves this prediction is being made ahead of time, as do the time-stamped email and forensic notes PDF document. So, let's just begin how I wrote it. There was a 5.3 earthquake in Thessaloniki, Greece, at 5:03 p.m. local time. That is a heads up. First of all, we are talking about the area of the New Testament. We are talking about Thessalonica, or Thessaloniki, which is where one of the early churches were that Paul wrote letters to. Okay, so that's a heads up because of this coincidence of this 5.3 earthquake occurring at 5:03 p.m. That's because of 1 Thessalonians 5:3. Quote, while people are saying there is peace and security, then sudden destruction, will come upon them as labor pains come upon a pregnant woman, and they will not escape. End quote. This is a very famous passage in Christianity, especially those that are interested in prophecy. So this is a very particularly well-known passage. It's not an obscure passage. It is a very symbolic passage, as you can gather, I'm sure. What we are talking about is the sudden destruction that is coming, that will trap people. People will be saying peace and security, things will be normal, and all of a sudden there'll be the destruction coming upon people. That's how it will work. It is a trap. And so that's what God is communicating here with this 5.3 earthquake in Thessaloniki at 5:03 p.m. Hence it Thessalonians 5:3. Now the earthquake was on the date 11:3, and this date is 8 plus 8 plus 8 days before Harris's predicted crash. And that is amazing because this earthquake occurred in Greece. The name Jesus in Greek, the language of the New Testament, is equivalent to 888 in Greek gematria, isopsophia. Okay, so that's why from the Greece earthquake, we have this 8 plus 8 plus 8 days to the sudden destruction. Kamala Harris's death in a plane crash, which will lead to the return of the Antichrist as the president. The return of the 44th president as the Antichrist through her replacement. Right? She is going to die in a plane crash. She will be replaced by Michelle Obama as the vice president. Then President Trump will die on December 12th, another prediction. And that will leave the electors able to elect Michelle Obama as the president-elect 5 days later when they meet on December 17th. The Constitution is unclear as to what happens when a president someone who is elected dies before the electors meet, because President Trump isn't technically the president-elect yet. So J.D. Vance doesn't automatically become the president-elect. Neither of them are president or vice president-elect yet. And we know the track record of the Democrat Party, which is completely corrupt and evil. They will do what I just suggested, which will be to somehow coerce the electors into making Michelle Obama the president-elect. And then Joe Biden will step down. It's predicted that he'll actually have a stroke. And Michelle Obama will become the president, and she will appoint Barack Obama as the vice president. And then she will step down. That's predicted to be on January 12th, making Barack Obama the 48th president in time for the symbolic inauguration 4 plus 4 days later for the 44th president's return. And he'll overcome the 22nd Amendment through being appointed instead of elected, just like Gerald Ford. The only president to never have been elected, vice president or president. The Constitution is, well, the Supreme Court will rule that it's unclear. There will be a constitutional crisis, no doubt. It will go to the Supreme Court, and then through the members of the Supreme Court that are either ideological or have been compromised will agree that Barack Obama can be appointed the vice president. All right, now 53 though, because again the earthquake was 5.3 and it occurred at 5:03 p.m. and it points to Thessalonians 5:3. 53, God uses this number in his signs because the inverse of it, the reciprocal, is 0.0188. And that's very relevant because this is a number that God frequently uses to point to H188. The word in Strong's Hebrew concordance that means woe exclamation mark, which is used in the Bible in the context of extreme judgment from God. Kamala Harris was born exactly 1 year, 8 months, and 8 days after construction began at the Gateway Arch in St. Louis, where she is predicted to crash. In the Bible, judgment on a people symbolically begins at the gate, which is why she will die in her plane crash next to the Gateway Arch, and why she was born 1 year, 8 months, and 8 days after construction began on the Gateway Arch. Another interesting thing is that her death will be the day before Thanksgiving, and Greece and Thessaloniki is near Greece, Turkey, the other location of the New Testament, the early churches that had letters written to them by Paul. And Thanksgiving is Turkey Day. So Kamala Harris is predicted to die 1 day before Turkey Day, and arguably this Greece earthquake hints at that as well. It was first learned, this date, November 27th, as being the date for her crash through the prophetic signs God revealed on September 25th and 26th with the indictment of the mayor of New York City over primarily an allegation of corruption regarding the building of the embassy of the nation of Turkey. It was 7 times 9 days after that date of the indictment, and on the day the New York Yankees lost 7-9 to the Baltimore Orioles. Orioles is a type of bird. Her crash will be due to a bird strike. Baltimore is in the Washington, D.C. area. And on, as explained in other videos. So that's enough for this video, though. This is an amazing sign that's come quite close to the end here, the date. But don't misunderstand, there are literally countless prophetic signs that go back years. It's not that we're getting these signs all of a sudden that she's going to die in a plane crash. Like I said, it's been known since 2020 that she will die in a plane crash. And along the way, there have been consistently signs like this that confirm this. Also, it is predicted that Kamala Harris's plane will crash due to a bird strike. And turkey is a type of bird. Believe me, I know far better than you how the prediction made in this video was derived. And more importantly, I know far better than you why the righteous Christian God of the Bible has given me a voice through this prediction. If you are a quote-unquote Christian or Muslim, this prediction was not learned through a demon. Be warned that blaspheming the Holy Spirit is the unforgivable sin. If you are a New Ager or New Spirituality person, this prediction was not learned through somehow tapping into the supposed universal collective consciousness. If you are a conspiracy theorist, this prediction was not learned through figuring out a supposed code that the Illuminati and Satanists are using. This prediction was learned through the Bible and through watching carefully the Lord's prophetic signs, which Jesus commanded all Christians to do. Besides proving that Jesus Christ is the Lord, the reason why God has given me a voice through this prediction is to prove that the controversial things that I am saying in the videos on this channel are the truth. Therefore, a wise person will want to watch all of the videos on this channel. What I will also do is create a video or two that summarizes some of the controversial things that the Lord will prove to be true when the prediction being made in this video comes to pass. I will leave links to these must-watch videos in the description box below this video. Again, the purpose of this prediction, that is from God, is to prove these things that I will talk about. And therefore, it would be foolish to not watch the videos that I will leave links for in the description box below this video. Aliens and UFOs are demons masquerading as aliens and UFOs. Most people's spiritual experiences are demonic deception, especially if they are not a true follower of Christ. In the last days, many people who claim to be a follower of Christ will have spiritual experiences that are in reality demonic. God became a man and died a horrible death at the hand of the ruler of this world, Satan, and then defeated death for you, so that you too can overcome death, which is the price that must be paid for sin. It is time to repent, which means to change one's ways and turn to God and become a disciple of Jesus. Please leave a like and upvote the video, and once this prediction has come to pass, share this video with everyone you know, and more, don't stop sharing it everywhere in social media. It is essential that everyone immediately read the homepage of my website, TrumpPrediction.com. If you are watching this on the YouTube platform, please note that not all of the videos are on YouTube. You need to switch to the BitChute.com or the Odyssey.com channel. And do it now in case you aren't able to later.